when your child hits their sibling, bites their classmate, or disturb and push their friends, it is very natural for us to think that the child is naughty, the child is being unkind and disrespectful, and that is where you need to stop the child's behavior. Now, for sure, if the behavior compromises the safety of the child or any children around him, or if the behaviors destroy property, you definitely want to stop your child, either by physically holding your child who's hitting you, pushing their head back, trying to struggle. You want to hold the child physically. You want to come in between the child and their friends. You want to take away the sharp objects, right? So that they are kept safe. So that is the number one thing you need to do. Literally set a boundary by coming in to stop them, okay? But please don't stop their behaviors by doing what they did, which means you don't want to spank your child for pushing their friend. You don't want to hit a child for biting their classmates, because when you do that, you are no different from them and you lose the moral high ground, okay? So let's behave the way we want our children to behave, and that's the essence of today's class. We are at day 2 of our Instagram live, and we'll talk about what to do if our children are hitting, biting, or hurting their friends. And as usual, we'll start the first part with the why before we go into the how. And you can also ask your questions. If you can see a question mark button at the bottom, right, you can actually ask your question and I will be able to find it quickly. So you can use that to answer questions along the way. But now I have a question for you, right? To kickstart this session, let's think about what are the triggers that cause your child to hit, bite, hurt someone, or use mean words. Can you type it inside the box, the comment box, okay? What are the triggers that cause your child to hit, to hurt, to bite, or to say mean words to you like, I hate you, mommy, I don't love you anymore, you are not my favorite mama, go away, right? These are the words that they say, that make you feel like, you've done so much to raise them, and these are the things that they do, right? Okay, so let's really think about what are some of the triggers, because I think when we can identify those, it's easier to help the child. Okay, some of you say frustration. Thank you. The child is frustrated. Shame, possible, right? The child feels shame, and clearly the child doesn't know what else to do, which I will go into that later on. We'll talk about the why, okay? When a sibling touches their toys, yes, this happens so often in my family as well. My son is generally cheery and good-natured, but when he's being asked to do things against his wishes, he would say, I don't like mama. Okay. So Shihui, I have one tip for you here. Don't take it personally. Okay. After this session, you will understand why I say that. Excitement. Yeah. Excitement. Sometimes they're too excited. All right. Eugene said, because he's drunk. That's why they start hitting. Actually, adults do that too, isn't it? All right. Tantrums. When things don't go their way. When she doesn't get what she wants. When she wants it. All right. Not being understood. Yeah. Anger, when we say no, unmet needs, when he doesn't get what he wants, when the toy that she's playing is being taken away. Honestly, if the thing that I'm playing with is being taken away, I will be very angry too. Right? There's a difference between me and our kids, right? And you know the difference. I'm an adult and we're talking about little children whose brains are not developed yet. Okay, when provoked, okay, when the child's getting scolded, learn from our behaviors. At this point in time, I would like you to pause and think about yourself. No judgment here. We're really trying to help our kids. Have you ever, hit your child, spank them, or say mean words to them? Okay, you don't have to answer me. You don't have to tell me. You will know it inside you, and you know why we are here. Okay, the fact that you're here, we are all trying to improve. They learn from the older kid. Yeah. When the sibling agitate the child, when they're being disturbed, fear, anger, frustration, jealousy, being teased by sibling, when they can't get what they want. Okay, as you read this, you can tell, right? It is the feelings that drive the behaviors. And it's the same thing for the hitting, the mean words, the tantrums, or actually all these behaviors are a result of how they're feeling, but yet they are not able to process and manage the feelings yet. So let's get started into the why. Why are they hitting? Why are they hurting people? Why are they biting? Okay. Most of the times when kids do that, it's their way of surviving. You hear me right? They are trying to survive. So I want you to think of how our brain works. The primary function of the brain is to keep us safe. It's for survival. So as long as there's some danger or even perceived danger, it can trigger an alarm in your child's brain, which is the amygdala. And this amygdala is like a primitive lizard brain, it will bring us to a state of fight, flight, and freeze in order to keep us safe. And not only that, right, it will also activate increase and influx of cortisol, which is a stress hormone that will keep the body in a right state to fight. It's like war times, and this is all evolutionary. So even for you, right, whether it's a real danger, for example, your child not doing their homework, your brain perceived it as is a real emergency. Or if your child spill a cup of milk, it is triggering, but we are so reactive because we see that as a danger, and our amygdala is also trying to keep us safe by bringing us into the fight, flight, and freeze mode. If you haven't heard of this, fight could be hitting, punching, kicking, pulling, right? Flight, running away, withdrawing, not saying a word, and freeze would be being there crying and all. So all these responses are ways for the child to survive. Is there anything wrong with that? No. Simply because our amygdala, the part that helps to keep us safe, is developed from birth, right? But the prefrontal cortex here is not. The part here takes time to develop. So let me help you to put yourself in the shoes of your kids. They have all the feelings that they're experiencing. Maybe I'll put my hand this way, right? These are all the feelings that they feel: anger, frustration, jealousy when they don't get what they want, the toy they want is taken away, they're not allowed to go to the playground. And this is the amount of skills that they have. Can you see a gap? And unless we can bridge the gap, this child will default to the fight, flight, and freeze modes in order to survive and feel safe. So what is our role here? We want to bridge the gap. But as with any skills that they are lacking, right? This is the feelings and these are the skills. If you want to bridge the gap and help them to build that skills, first we need to identify what are the skills that they are lacking. So it could be a lack of emotion regulation skills, right? They don't know how to work through the frustration, the overwhelm, that they are jealous, they need your attention, but you're not at home, and when you're finally home, they just want you, but the sibling comes over and they start, getting into this tantrum, meltdown, and even getting aggressive. They can't regulate their emotions, right? It also could be because they lack the impulse control, right? Or the executive functioning skills to reason out, hey, this toy, even though, my brother has taken it, there's another train there, I could play with the other. Now, some children can do that, right? It's really a matter of what they see around them, what can be done. Some children, of course, it depends on their temperament as well. Some children are more emotional. It's harder to teach. I know, I have experienced all of that, and it's really, really challenging. But if you can bear in mind that our role is to teach these skills, then we wouldn't want to hit the child for hitting, because hitting the child doesn't build any skills. We won't want to take away privileges because, again, it doesn't build any skills or teach the child how to ask for a toy, right? How to understand that it's raining, that's why they can't go to the playground, or how to reason with you that there's only 5 more minutes and they cannot watch a 10-minute video, right? So they lack that skills, and it's your job to teach them. And how do you teach those skills? So it's akin to, for example, you're teaching your child to cycle, right? If they can't cycle, are you going to punish them for not having the skill to cycle? Unlikely, right? You will guide them slowly, you will hold their hand and guide them along, be very patient. They're going to fall several times, but they will get back up and they will try again. And this is exactly how emotion regulation is like. They are going to experience the anger, the frustration, the sadness, and only through that they can learn how to pick themselves up, regulate their emotions, and then calm themselves down before they can access the logical part of the brain to bridge this gap to build the skill. Okay, so I hope you are You understand the bio class that I've just shared with you. It's really important for us to have the correct mindset about the behaviors. So it's not that they are trying to hurt you. They're not being naughty. You know, when you tell a child you're so naughty, it goes into their inner voice and they think to themselves, I'm naughty because the person I love the most tells me that I'm naughty. Or my teacher says I'm the naughtiest boy in the class, so I'm naughty. But if you can tell your child that you are learning, you are trying to build the skill, it is difficult, mommy and daddy will be here to teach and guide you, then the child sees that there's hope. People are believing in me and I can do it and I want to do better, right? So this is what we are going to work towards, helping the child bridge the gap and build the skills that they need to manage their anger and frustration. So how are we going to do that? This is the second part. Like what I did yesterday, we're going to talk about what not to do before what to do, right? And this time it's easy. What not to do. Don't do the same thing to your child. So don't hit them, don't spank, don't throw the tantrum, don't say mean things to them, don't use words that shame them or blame them, because do those build the skills? No, they don't. Okay, so don't do that. But what you can do instead, I think we want to model, right? That's why we are all here, right? We are here because we want to learn how to better regulate our emotions. So just yesterday, there was this mom, she sent me a direct message on Instagram and she told me that, Jacin, what am I going to do? Because I used to hit my children. I didn't know how else to discipline them. And now I realize it's wrong. I decided to stop. I apologized to my daughter. But I think it's too late because the daughter has been hitting the son. The daughter has been learning from the parent and hitting the son, and she asked me, you know, what can we do? I think here, right, it's wonderful that the mom is acknowledging the fact that the child actually learned it from her, and I think repairing that relationship can help, and also then equipping the child, the girl, with small skills on how she can, you know, manage her frustration, teaching emotion regulation skills like taking a deep breath, going to a corner, drawing circles on the hands. And these are things that you want to work on to help your child. And to do that, you have to model it. So you can tell your child, I'm very frustrated now. I'm going to get a cup of water. I'm going to drink some water. And you'll be surprised, you know, if you do that consistently, your child sees it, and they may not tell you that, oh, I'm learning from you, but if they're in school, you know what they will do? When they're frustrated with their friends, they will take a cup of water and drink it. You'll be surprised. I've seen it in my own kids. Like, for example, I told my child that when I was teaching in school, right, we are helping our secondary 4 students with the examinations. I remember we taught them this method of calming down. So this is a brain gym. So they would tap their fingers to calm themselves down. So I was just randomly telling my kids, oh, you know what, we did that to our students. So before the exams, in the exam hall, you can see the children tapping their fingers and calming themselves down. And that's it. So I didn't think much about it. I just shared that story. And then when my son started primary 1, I remember that it was during COVID period, so they couldn't really walk around. But there was this boy who was disturbing him. So I asked him, did you go and tell the teacher? He said that I can't because we're supposed to be at our seat. We can't move up. And I said, okay, then what else do you do? He said, I told the boy to stop, but he didn't stop. And eventually, you know, the boy walked away. And my son said, then I just tapped my fingers. And I was really taken aback because I didn't train him to do that. And I only talked about it once. But the kids, they want to learn how to cope. They are aware of how they feel. If we guide them and help them gain that recognition of, you know, awareness of what's coming through their body, the physical changes to their body. So it's very important we start teaching them from young. So remember I talked about the parent who says that, you know, my child is modeling after me. And yeah, I'm very glad that she's able to know, even, you know, that very first step to see that I better model how I want it to be for my kids. Okay. So the other thing we want to do other than modeling is to really shift your mindset, right? Disconnect your child's behavior from who the child is. So if your child is hitting someone, that is the behavior we want to work on. But the child is innately kind, helpful, respectful, right? Because that behavior does not determine who the child is. Just like us, you know, if we are tired, we yell at our kids, we're easily triggered, we are reactive. Does that mean that we are bad parents? No. So if you can disconnect your own parenting behavior versus who you really are, you can see that our kids are the same as well. So maybe tomorrow when you look at your child and they start acting out, hitting, like I say at the beginning, you want to hold them to make sure that they're safe. But after which, there's no need to then react. You need to share your calm so that you can stand a higher chance of getting them to access that thinking part of the brain, to regain that composure so that they can problem solve and slowly bridge the gap between their feelings and the lack of skills. I hope you can understand, to see why why is it so important for us to have this mindset shift to disconnect the behaviors and who the child is. And this is something that I emphasize a lot inside my online course, From Yelling to Connecting. I know some of you have already attended my course, but in there we really want to see behaviors as clues to what the child needs instead of who the child is. So if you can see the behaviors at the top and you can identify the feelings that drive the behavior, you can identify the unmet needs that lead to those feelings, you can then address the root cause of the problem, which are the unmet needs. So even if you want to stop the behavior, you punish the child, you take away privileges, you will start to see other tricky behaviors simply because the unmet needs are going to manifest themselves in other ways. So a parent asked me, but how am I going to identify what does my child need? Now, it's not rocket science. It's easy to understand if you start learning about your child's brain and body development. And this is where, really take that time, invest in yourself to make time for reading books, listening to podcasts. If you would love to attend a course, I welcome you with open arms. That's where I've been journeying with more than 1,700 parents. I'm really, really confident with what I teach and helping you. I have this 3-step positive discipline communication roadmap where I teach you how to communicate with your children. It is so important, the kind of words you use, the kind of words you should avoid, right? How do you say it? How to troubleshoot? So yeah, if you are keen, all right, just type in the word connect inside the chat box now, and my team will then send you the link. We are currently open and you are now still eligible for the early bird bonus, which is the Fostering Resilient Minds, where you learn about how to help your child overcome perfectionism, how to build intrinsic motivation and a growth mindset. All right, so type the word connect, you will be sent the link and you can go over there to see if this is something for you, something suitable for you. I always welcome parents and their partners to join in. So this is not like just for you. The entire family is involved. Get your partners in. They'll get to access the course, the podcast, attend the coaching course. We are going to learn together as a family, together as a community. And that's how we can learn to identify your child's unmet needs that lead to the feelings that drive the behavior, and how we can be an effective parent. We are not just going to stop the behaviors. We know as an informed parent that it's not about stopping the behavior, but it's about addressing the unmet needs of the child to help them feel whole, feel attached to you, and also feel that you are there for them. They feel seen and heard, building that connection. And that is how they are more open to your guidance. And that's how they learn emotion regulation as well, because they see you doing it. You're no longer shouting at their children. You're not shouting with your partner. Our kids are observing what's all around them, right? And it is very, very key that you start from yourself first. And that's why parenting, I always tell them, it's more about the parent and the child. And that's why we say parenting. We don't say childing, right? We want to work on our own triggers. So the second thing I want to add is, why is it that when your child hits, bite, you feel so triggered? Chances are you care so much for your child that it affects you. And you feel triggered. It could also be because of how it was like for you. Maybe you were brought up with a cane in the house, and that's the only strategy you know to get your child to listen to you. Or maybe, you have certain experiences as a child, some certain old patterns where if you don't cooperate, if you cry, you get punished and you get spanked, right? All this don't have to continue. We don't have to pass it down to your children, to the next generation, so that they don't have to pass it down to their children, right? We can change the way we shift our mindset about behaviors. And that is module 1. I'm going to spend module 1 teaching you how you can see these behaviors differently and give you a whole list on possible unmet needs. that you can consider what is happening. And of course, every child is different, right? So if you look at your child tomorrow who is hitting a sibling, it could be because they are jealous, they didn't get to see you because you came back late at night, or it could be because that your child lacks sleep. Sometimes basic needs are the biggest triggers. Your child not enough sleep, doesn't have enough food, tired after a long day, overstimulated, too much screen time. There could be many reasons, and I will teach you how to identify those. So it's important that you start learning. You see how people like doctors or surgeons, lawyers, teachers, they go through constant upgrading in order to identify their children, right? In order to up level their skills so that they can help either their children, their clients, their patients. And why is it that we are not learning how to become better parents? There are other ways. There's so many resources out there, and we are really doing a disservice if we are not helping our children learn, help them identify the skills they are missing, and practice the skills. Again, it takes time to learn. As adults, we have all the feelings, we have all the skills because we are mature, but are we really able to manage our own triggers and emotions when we see our children acting out? This is a long journey, but you have to get started, okay? So we spoke about how behaviors are communication. The child is trying to communicate an unmet need to you. You need to know how to identify that and address the root cause of the problem. And you need to model how you regulate your emotions as well. So you cannot be the one hitting your child for hitting their friends. It just doesn't make any sense. You should not be snatching the remote control because your child snatched it from a sibling. Okay, so you want to model exactly how you want your child to behave. All right. So we talk about building skills also. Setting boundaries is one. So if you see that they are really not able to manage their impulses, you want to come in and set the boundary to help them, taking them away, putting the kids apart. So these are things that you can do to manage this aggression or any mean words that they say. So don't take it personally. I said to disconnect the behaviors from the child. So if your child says, I hate you, mommy, you're the worst mommy ever, you don't give me any screen time, but my friends get to watch a lot of screen time, or my friend gets to buy a lot of toys and stuffed animals that I don't have, and I hate the family. Now, don't take it personally. Disconnect these words from who the child is. You know that the child has activated the alarm system in their brains. The amygdala is there to tell them, hey, this is dangerous. You don't get to watch an extra 5 minutes of screen time. It is an emergency. You need to get into the fight, flight, and freeze in order to cope, right? That's what the amygdala is telling your child. But our goal is to let our kids know that, okay, I have this feeling in me, I'm feeling angry, I can regulate myself, I can take a deep breath, and I can ask myself, is this an emergency? Of course, very young kids is hard, right? So we're going to give them easier words to use, like, I can manage this is not dangerous. So certain words that I will equip you more as we go along in the modules as well, okay? All right, so if you want to ask a question, there is a question mark icon, and that's where I can answer your question. So type it in there. I think it's easier for me instead of scrolling all the way, okay? So someone asked, I missed yesterday's session. Can you still watch it? Yes. So if you, later on, right, I will put it up in my IG stories. You just comment the word replay, and my team will then send you the links directly, okay? Brand says, I'm listening as I straighten up, and I came to check out the chat, and I love how many parents here are here to better understand their children and show up for them the ways that are best for them. The fact that you are here choosing me over Netflix, seriously, you need a pat on the back. Like, how many parents will do that, right? They will rather be watching their shows, but because your children are important to you, right? Your family is important to you. You want to invest in yourself so that you can create a better environment for them to grow up in. I wouldn't say, it's possible to eliminate all the traumas that your child experiences, but I think it's important that, there is progress. with each generation. Okay, all right, let me see your questions. Oh, I don't see any. All right, the bottom. Okay, my daughter got beaten from her classmate not once but twice. Her father was not apologetic at all. What should I do? Okay, the tricky thing here, I'm glad you're here to ask these questions, because I can share all these explanation and strategies, but the real value comes in me knowing the context of what's happening to you. And that's what I do in our course From Yelling to Connecting as well. We have 4 weeks of coaching call where you share with me the exact context that your child is experiencing, so that I can better support you rather than give you a generic response. So more tailored answers will definitely be helpful for you. So if you notice that the classmate is biting your child and the father is not apologetic at all, if it happens in school, I think you need to bring in the teachers, right? Let the teachers know, and let the teachers be the ones to mediate this, because they are the ones looking at the kids, taking care of the kids after all. And hopefully, right, they are there to let you know that they are working out something. For some parents, they actually told me that the teachers will separate the children, right, at least for that moment. And of course, there are some teachers who really understand why kids are biting or hurting each other. It's usually a lack of emotion regulation skills. Some kids are too excited, so hopefully the teachers will be able to teach them, breathing, right? You'll be surprised, emotion regulation is something that many preschools are actually adopting right now. Talk about mental health even. So teaching the kids how to breathe, calm down. My son was telling me that his school teacher taught them how to take breaks so that you can be less overwhelmed, right? So yeah, help, let the teacher know, and let the teacher to work it out with the children. Okay, let's see. Can we shout stop since it compromises the safety of others? Yeah, I think it's okay to shout stop. In fact, I teach my kids, I give them the words to use. If people are doing something to them that they don't like, pushing them, put their hands up, right? So we practice, we have a pretend play. I will pretend that I'm the naughty child in their school, right? They say the naughty child, so I'll come in and I will disturb them, and they will practice putting their hands out like that. Stop, okay? Or certain words like, stop it, I don't like it. And if you've said it and the child is still doing that to you, walk away, look for a trusted adult. So that's something that you can guide your child, okay? Let's see. Oh, not replay here. A lot of you are typing the word replay. Sorry, no. The replay will be later on after I put up the link. Okay, sorry for the confusion. Yeah, so here, if you want the link to the course that's currently open and you get to enjoy the early bird bonus, you can type connect, and that's where my team will send you the link, okay? Your emails are also helpful for conversation starters for my partner and I. Thank you so much. I'm listening from Japan. Thank you for making this time to share with us. I think it is not, I appreciate that, but I think the bigger thing we want to celebrate is you showing up. Like, you are here, come on, like, you are listening and trying to improve. I'm very sure as I'm sharing, you are thinking back about your child, their behaviors, and what are the things you can do better. We want to celebrate you guys. Okay, so we can take a few more questions. When my child gets dysregulated, we will tell him to read a book to calm down. I'm wondering if this is a good regulation strategy, or is it just a form of distraction from his big emotions? There are different strategies for the varied intensity of emotions. So if your child is extremely angry, very frustrated, I would say he's in the red zone. Reading a book may not directly, help the child, right? I think for children at that point in time, maybe they really need you to just hold them and taking very short breaths at the start and slowly leading into longer breaths that can activate the parasympathetic nervous system to tell their brains, tell the amygdala that, hey, amygdala, stop it. It's not so serious, not an emergency. Stop making me go into the fight mode. That's what we are trying to work towards, right? So, but if your child is just a little bit unhappy, a little bit unsure, frustrated, just slightly, yeah, I think reading a book can help. But I think what the key part is processing the entire situation with your child. regardless of the intensity of the emotions, you want to have conversations with your child about what they experience, why they experience it, and how they can manage it. Because if you look at the word regulate, it means that the child is going to experience some up, some down, some up and down in their emotions. So that is part of regulating. You can't expect a child to grow up to know how to regulate emotions when they haven't experienced a variety of different myriad of emotions in their life, right? They need that as an experience for them to learn that, okay, I can take a deep breath, it works, today it works, tomorrow it didn't work, what else can I do instead? All right. So for little children, I highly recommend you create some form of analogies to help them. So for example, you can tell them to blow candles. You don't really need to take candles. You can just pretend that your fingers are candles and they're just going to blow off. That's one way. So recently, I've just taught my daughter about, because she tends to feel anxious at times. So I will tell her, okay, I give the anxiety a name. I told her, the anxiety in you, I used to call it Mr. Anxiety, but now we gave it a name. We call anxiety Sally. So I said, Sally is here, right? You are looking at, going to piano class, and you feel like, Sally is here to tell you that, you are not able to play it well. Let's blow Sally away. So she will blow. So she'll blow Sally to the toilet. And I think that the blowing part unknowingly helps her to calm down. She didn't realize it for sure. She thought that it's funny, but it helps. Okay, so having some analogy can be helpful. I think this works better for the older kids. For the younger kids, you can tell them blow candles, blow bubbles, or draw a rainbow. As they draw a rainbow, they will breathe. All right. I also teach my kids to draw a star and count to 10. So if you tell them count to 10, it's very hard for them to really in that right state of mind to count to 10. But if you are next to them holding their hand, do you know that physical touch can also release some biochemicals in their brain, their blood, for them to calm down? All right. So holding them, giving them your hand, getting them to draw a star. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's already counting to 10 without them even realizing it. Okay. All right. Let me see. I suddenly feel that my child is very stubborn and deliberately defying me. What can I do? Okay, so I don't know how old your child is, but remember, we want to disconnect the behaviors from the child, right? Those who just join us, we say that behaviors are clues to what the child needs versus who the child really is. So that's when you want to help your child work through the emotions that are driving this behavior. Don't take it personally. Don't take it personally. Don't think that your child is trying to get you, okay? They are not. They're being children. And then being humans, actually, they're bound to experience, different emotions, frustration. And because they are kids, they don't have the skills to manage the big emotions yet, okay? All right? Sometimes when I stay calm and talk to my 18-month-old, I feel she doesn't understand, or she thinks I cannot relate to her. She continues to fuss and shout. I don't know what to do. Okay, very good question here. Many parents think that, when I stay calm, my kids should stay calm immediately. Unfortunately, feelings are like a wave. There's a peak at the top before it will subside. So when parents say, I tried to connect with my child, I was very calm, but they are still crying. The goal is not to get the kids to stop crying, because you don't have the ability to do so. Of course, unless you use fear, which is, again, something that I don't agree. I can talk about it for another hour. But the goal is not for you to stop your child from having those feelings. It's for your child to work through the feelings inside them, because their parents are there to share their calm. They are able to make that wave of emotions subside faster. It's all that's happening inside them. There's no way we can stop a child, right, from not having those feelings or not crying. It's up to them. It's really inside them to not cry, right? Recently, I just watched but Dr. Julie, I think she's a psychologist, and she said that, when you go for therapy, actually the psychologist is not the one doing the healing for you. They're just asking questions and guiding you. You are the one doing the healing yourself. And I thought that made so much sense, because whatever happened to us in the past, whatever triggers, baggages we had, they're all inside us. And only if we can work it out, do the inner work, and realize that, hey, you know, this has happened, I can't do anything about it, but I have control over how I want to parent my child and what kind of children I want them to be. I want them to be regulated, being reflective, being responsible, being resilient. And whatever you do now have to lead to that. So you can ask yourself, if I am modeling calmness, am I guiding them to learn to be more regulated? Yes. If you are upset and frustrated, but you demonstrate how to cope, are you teaching your child to learn how to be emotionally resilient? Are you teaching them how to cope? Yes. So it really starts from us very, very often. Okay. All right. My kid is only 3. After school, he's very hot-tempered. He won't listen to anything I say. Can regulate at this early age. Can. Because I have parents in my course, and they even send me screenshots of stories about what happened to their child at 2-year-old. The child tells the mommy, I am angry. Do you know that when the child tells you I'm angry, you need to pat yourself on the back. You need to celebrate that. Your child is using words to communicate their feelings. They're not doing it through their behaviors. And that is already higher level. You know? So if your child can tell you in words, that's great. So yes, I have many 2+ year-old kids who can communicate with words. Of course, it will take time, right? Not that they'll master it immediately, but it really is a good start in the process for them to be aware. So I would tell parents, hey, you need to introduce these words, feelings, label the feelings so that they see that it's something that they can talk about, and when they can acknowledge it, it's easier for them to then do the inner work of coping, okay? So the parents say after school, the child is very hot-tempered. Actually, I think after school, after work, everyone is very hot-tempered because we've been out the whole day, we've been so tired, we have been putting up our best for our bosses, our colleagues, co-workers, for our teachers, our classmates, that when we get back home, we just want to collapse. So it's common for children, they call it the after-school restraint collapse, where kids really want to empty their emotions from their backpack. Okay, so if you know this, separate the behavior from the child. This child is having a hard time. The child needs me to help. Okay, all right. Will a calming corner set up at home help them to have a safe space with parents and toys? Take a deep breath. My kids are 5 and 3. Yes, for sure. Samantha asked. I will say yes. I had a calming corner. Now we don't really need it anymore because my kids are older and they are, I won't say they are experts in regulating, but they know how they can calm themselves down, right? They come to me, they talk to me, they draw circles. But yeah, a calming corner, it doesn't have to be an elaborate one. It doesn't have to be Insta-worthy. You don't have to look for the most beautiful furniture, okay? Just a very comfortable, maybe just a cushion that you can find on your sofa, a little small table that you can get from IKEA, you know, the kind of bed table, and some paper, pencil, that's what I did. And you can also put a toy car where they can start rolling, and that also helps to calm themselves down as well. Okay, yes, parents, I definitely recommend the parent will be there so that the child is able to process what actually happened instead of trying to internalize everything on their own. Really, a lot of thoughts come through our minds when we feel like we are to blame. We don't want our kids to internalize that. Okay, all right. Let's see what else. I will answer 1 or 2 more questions, okay? My 24-month-old has been screaming, pushing me away, telling me to go away when she gets mad. This has been happening daily. Yep. Okay. Now, if you have a 24-month-old, actually, most of my parents have kids between 22 to 3 years old, 22 months old to 3 years old. Why do I say that? Because this is the time where they go through rapid changes in their brain. Like really 1 million neurons are forming, 1 million synapses are forming between the neurons at a second. Can you imagine? So they're learning communication skills. They're learning words, literacy. They're trying to connect what they hear to what they see, the words they use. They're trying to work on emotions, trying to work on their fine motor, gross motor, cause and effect. So much going on. So I would totally understand why the child is behaving this way, but I also understand the frustration that you're experiencing. So really, if you are aware of what they're going through, which is what I teach in module 1 as well, if you're aware of what they're going through, you don't take it personally. You do your very best to stay calm. And I have many stories of parents who tell me, I'm not afraid of my child's emotions anymore. And this is what I teach them. The moment you are scared of the emotions, you react, right? The child will see this is not safe. And then the amygdala will not be able to take a back seat, right? But if you can show your child that I'm not afraid of your feelings, you can be upset. If you are pushing me, I'm not going to let you push me. I'm going to set the boundaries very firmly. I'm going to hold you and wait for that wave of emotions to subside. Then it's easier. Okay? All right. Let me see. I will take a few more. Wow, there's a lot of questions. Okay. My son says to my younger one, sometimes, I'm so angry with you, but he doesn't know how to cope and will sometimes yell at the brother to try and get him to stop making him angry. How do you handle? Okay, firstly, we don't allow the yelling. So of course you make sure you don't do it at home. And if you do it, it's okay. We just want to repair and tell the child, as a family, we're all going to learn how to use our words. It's not going to be easy. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to fall back on yelling. But if we can recognize that, we can keep trying together as a family. Okay? So that's one thing. You make sure that you're not yelling. Make sure that you repair and you teach your child what else to say or how else to cope. But also manage your expectations because it takes time. So as long as there's little progress that your child is making, you want to celebrate that. Tell your child, hey, you told your brother that you're angry with him. And that's so wonderful. Do you know that you are already, at a higher level than most, even adults, that we can't regulate our emotions, but you're able to use words. Now let's work on helping you learn how to deal with the anger. So we don't want to stop our children from being angry. We want to teach them how to be angry. We want to teach them what to do with their anger. Okay? All right? Okay. I'll take the last question. Okay, what should we do as adults if the child starts to throw furniture when he or she is upset? I would put her to safety and tell her it's not safe, and hence I'm putting her away to a safe space. Yes, that's a wonderful boundary that you set. When the child starts throwing furniture, destroying property, you want to come in and take the child away, bring her to safety. Okay, even though she's still crying, struggling, always prioritize safety. All right. I hope this has been helpful. Jane asked a question, is the course helpful for older kids? I would say if your child is between 2 to 7 years old, that would be ideal, because while the strategies that I share can be applied to children of all ages, really the examples I give are mostly for the 2 to 7. So type in the word connect now if you would like to find out more. 2 more days before we close the early bird bonus. So try to get on this fast, and that's where I can already get you started with the pre-course reading and also get you familiarized with our system and our private podcast. So for 2 to 7, if you have even older kids, I do have another program, but I think you can drop me a direct message separately and I'll see if it's even suitable for you. Okay, so let's end the course, and we can share your takeaway. All right, what is one thing that resonated with you today and one thing that you have learned? Eileen asked if I can retake the course. You have lifetime access. All the parents who joined since 3 years ago still have access to it now, because I know that parenting is so hard at different seasons, and you're most welcome to revisit the stuff that we've taught, you've learned, as well as to know that you can do it at your own pace. So no excuses. All right, you can listen to the podcast, you can plug it into your ears as you do your laundry. Any little step that you take to try to learn is good enough, right? You don't have to be a perfect parent to get everything right, to not yell at all. As long as every single day you yell lesser, I can assure you eventually you will stop this default response. although that's it, right, I do have parents who just take the course and 1 week they tell me they totally stop yelling at their home. I'm so impressed because, well, I took about 3 years to get to where I am. I don't think you need that long, but probably not 1 week. These parents are so amazing. 1 week, and they realize that, our kids are not giving us a hard time. They're having a hard time themselves. James is 10 years old. Jane, you drop me a message. 10 years old, I think I will have my other program between for you. I think that would be better. Okay? Do you do these sessions at this time daily? Are you talking about this 3-day Instagram live where I'm here to support and help parents? Yes. So tomorrow will be the last day 3 of our IG live. We'll talk about tantrums. We'll go deeper into emotions. Today, actually, I talked quite a bit about emotions. But tomorrow we'll go into practically what else you can do. And I'll take more questions tomorrow as well. Okay, so come on in again and join me. So what you can do is today, after you've learned this, tomorrow you try to apply. After you apply, see what happens. If, you feel like, oh, there's a gap, I don't know what else to do, come and join me in day 3 and ask me your question. Okay? All right, modeling. We model how we would like our children to be. How are we able to get to your podcast? I will send you the link to the private podcast. You can hear it on Spotify, Google, or Apple podcast, and you will get your unique code, and that's where you can log in. Okay, all right. More details are on the website. So type in the word connect, and you can get everything you need to know from the website. Okay. Thank you. I've learned a lot from you. Most welcome. We are really all learning. Modeling, okay. Oops. No hitting and no yelling. Now, I'm not saying you are going to move from level 0 to level 10, from yelling to immediately not yelling, because it's also very hard for you. You also need to express yourself, externalize your kind of emotions so that you don't bottle it inside you, because that's not what we want our kids to have, and that's not what we want you to have as well. So make sure you have someone you can rant and vent out, your partner, talk to them about how you're so frustrated with your kid, because that's your regulation skills, that's your coping skills. You're already trying to bridge the gap, okay? Unpack our baggage. Don't be afraid of their emotions. 8 years old, I think I really want to find out what are the challenges, okay? I really want you to see results, so I'm not going to get you to just join for fun. If you feel like you are not able to commit, you need to wait, please go on and wait, okay? There's no rush into it. Only if you feel like you need to make the change, I think you should, okay? Ivan, maybe you also drop me a message about the challenges that you face. Okay, don't take things personally. The child says something hurtful. 8 and 9 years old, beyond, I would want to again hear your challenges. So those of you who have older kids, all right, I help older kids, I taught older kids before. Let me know what are your main challenges. Okay, if not, you can email me as well. All right, separate the emotion and meet the need. Very good. A child is good even though he may be behaving poorly. Yes. Okay, so type in the word connect and you will get the direct link from the team. If you don't get it, then you have to let me know as well. Click the link there and you will get to see how I structure the course, whether it's even suitable to your timing, because it is going to start from the 11th of April and we are going to be together like what I'm doing now with you, answering your specific questions as a group, all right? Group coaching call for 4 weeks. So these 4 Thursdays, I've already told my kids, sorry, mommy's going to be very busy because I'm going to help another group of parents, and they know it because I've done it 12 times. So they know that once I open it, twice a year, they get 4 Thursdays where daddy have to put them to bed. Okay, twice a year. Yeah, but I think it's important we know what we are lacking. We're not afraid to learn, unlearn, and relearn. It really will not just benefit the child, it will even benefit your marriage as well. And I've a lot of partners because I always get both of them to join in, right? And the daddies, the mummies. So it's the mummy who will bring the daddy in. In the end, the daddy will do better than the mummy. So another thing is where we had the podcast, right? So the parents on their way to work, maybe in the car, they'll play the podcast. So the daddy has no choice, right? Because the daddy has to drive to the wife to work, and the daddy is learning. And very interestingly, the daddies always do so much better. Like they are, able to regulate themselves better. And And actually what we learn can be applied to your co-workers, your team as well. Okay. Yeah, Steffi said she joined end of 2022. Yeah, so it is that long ago, right, that I've been doing it. Okay. All right. So yes, thank you so much for sharing your takeaways. I will see you again tomorrow, and we will talk more about tantrums and all. Okay. What time does the coaching call start? 9:30. Usually 11 is a welcome call, half an hour. Yeah, so usually about 1 hour to 1.5. You can always send in your questions. You can always catch the replays. We have timestamps as well, so it's easy for you, because I know we're all so busy. But yeah, we'll make sure that you get the responses that you need. Okay. Steffi, drop me a message if you want the free Sprout access. No worries, we can work that out, work something for you. Okay, have a good night, and I will see you again tomorrow. Bye.